This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
Season 3 of The Pass is here. I know it's long overdue. We have a new intro. We still got the same content. Well, actually, it's a little bit of new content because there's new things going on in 2019. So buckle up. We got a lot of things to talk about on The Pass. Episode 269 of The Pass is here. What's going on, y'all? It's your host, BT. It's going to be a little bit of a different flow today because I'm kind of doing an improv show. I have a guest coming on in a bit. He'll be here shortly, and I'm just kind of rocking the show and letting us do what it does. So I am still doing Instagram Live. I was indifferent. I initially was going to do Twitch and try to upload there, but for whatever reason, technical difficulties happened, and it was kind of coincidence because I shared the link to check it out on Twitch, but by the time I did it, it was not working. So as many people know, I'm pressed for time, so I don't like to waste time if I don't have to. If you notice, or if you listen to this show and it's editing, you'll see that the title is called Tesla and T-Mobile. Week of the T's. There was a lot of tea. That's the best way I can put it. There are two stories that I did find related to T-Mobile, and I'll get into those and stuff. And obviously, there was a big announcement from Tesla. So we'll see what's going on, and we'll kind of rock this show out and make it work. Because as y'all know, I'm just here for the content and here to make sure that the listeners are enjoying what they hear. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with our weekly picks. Last week, I actually recovered. I had a 5-7 struggle the week before, or last week, and the week before that, I was 5-8. So it was not one of my best weekly pick weeks in football or last 2 weeks. So my percentage did boost a little bit. Not boost, but it went up to 60.14. Like I said, I was 11-3. And sometimes we just have bad picks, so I'm not really upset or really tripping about it, but hey, it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it because it's definitely going to be a lot of big games that are going down this week, and I don't want to leave any matchups behind. So without any further ado, let's see if I can continue this good run. And since I have it up, we'll kind of look at, it's kind of going to be an add-in because we're getting to that point of the season where playoff seeds are kind of getting locked and teams are trying to see what they can do and who's going to show up. And so far, some of my preseason picks have failed me, and that's fine. So I'm just going to see what happens and go from there. So that being said, this past Thursday, Houston did play the Colts, or the Texans played the Colts, and the Texans did win that matchup. Going into our weekly matchups, Tampa Bay against Atlanta. Atlanta coming off of a shocking win, which still surprised me a little bit, but I'm going to pick Atlanta for that one. Not anything against Tampa Bay, but it is what it is. Yeah, you heard T-Mobile right, and you'll see why in a moment, and I'll explain it when we get to stuff. So hopefully you're around for that part, Christine, and I'll explain what's going on. Like I said, you probably have an idea, but I'll just kind of leave it at that. Miami plays Cleveland. Cleveland looks like they want to play again, so I'm going to surprise myself and pick Cleveland for that matchup. Giants at Bears, picking the Bears. It's really not much else to say. Carolina at New Orleans. If it was Carolina in their prime or really looking like they wanted to play, I'd pick Carolina with no problem, but it's in New Orleans, so I'm going to be honest and just pick New Orleans. Raiders at the Jets. The Jets have been very disappointing this year. I'm not even going to fake it or facade it. they haven't really had one of the best outings, in my opinion, this season. So picking the Raiders, like I said, it's going to be tough for them as far as how they're going to look playoff wise. Since seeding, I mean, they're 6-4, but when it comes down to seeding and the quote unquote playoff picture, it's going to be a little different. Broncos at Bills, barring something crazy, picking the Bills. Detroit at Washington. Did not realize that Washington was 1-9 and that Detroit is actually better than Washington. I'm going to probably be sticking my foot in my mouth picking this, but I'm going to pick Washington, even with the tickets being on sale for $4. So if you were looking to go to that game, they are kind of trying to give tickets away. That's how bad of a season it's been for them. Steelers at Bengals. I'm not going to say anything further. I'm just going to say Steelers and leave it at that. Seahawks at Eagles. Potential game of the week only because the Eagles are they kind of came off of a decent season last year. But Seattle's playing, Seattle's 8-2. So barring something crazy, I'm going to pick Seattle for that one. Jacksonville at Tennessee. It's a very rocky game, especially with this being like an in-division rivalry or in-division battle. What's going on, Dust? Welcome to the show. Gonna pick Tennessee for this one. And I like how he comes in the game. He comes in as soon as I've made like the Philly Seattle matchup pick. Dallas at Patriots. I'm going to be blunt and just say it. I'm picking the Patriots for that game. Plain and simple. If Dallas proves that they can if Dallas can show up against New England, then that would really give Dallas a good leverage in playoff talk. It may give Dak leverage in MVP consideration, things of that nature. The late night game, Green Bay at San Francisco, potential game of the week, as most of you may already know. I'm going to probably make a couple of people mad, and I'm just saying it because they've been on a good run this year. I'm picking Green Bay. And finally, for the Monday night game, Baltimore at playing in LA against the Rams. Lamar Jackson is definitely going to be the X factor of this game as expected, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens for that matchup. So those are my picks. That's where we are. Let me see if I can get a quick rundown of our playoff scenarios, because most times at this point of the year, you can kind of get like a full breakdown of what teams to really keep an eye out for. So far, no one has really clinched anything as of yet, or it hasn't been mentioned that teams have started to clinch positions. But of course, too, it's still early, so we're not going to jump too far ahead of ourselves. Fox Sports isn't really going to give that information, which is fine. So I'm not really going to trip on it too much. And that's just where I'm going to leave that story. So that's everything. Like I said, those are our weekly picks. I did do Fantasy League. I'm using my phone, obviously, for the podcast. So I'm not able to have up my Fantasy League like I normally would for basketball. Let's just say the opponent that I got this week brought his A game, and none of the players that I'm able to put on the court have really been able to step up and do their part to make it a worthwhile battle. So it's been kind of like literally it's been an uphill or rocky road of just trying to get wins as possible. So that's just the clean and safe version of that whole story in a nutshell. So next up is James Wiseman. And I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory, but I'm not going to give too much backstory because I feel like I've talked about him each week on the show. But I will say that it looks as though the NCAA has made a decision and that they are suspending him for 12 games. He's already missed 2 games initially, so now he's going to miss another 10 games. He won't be eligible to play again until January the 12th against South Florida, which will kind of get them into their division or conference play, they call it in college basketball. This story has a lot of substance now because now he's expected to pay the school Let me see. They expected him to pay $11,500 to the school or to a charity of his choice. Now, I'm not going to read the story for a couple of reasons. One, this story is Memphis knew what they were doing. I'm just going to say it just blatantly outright, because no one in their right mind would be dumb enough to believe that they didn't know what was going on when this all happened. And that's just kind of my I'm not even gonna say my hot take, but that's just my honest opinion. So I will say this. This is gonna look bad if there are other players that may have gotten money and they're not gonna come to surface, because a lot of the guys that are on this team, I won't say they're lottery picks, but they're high picks in the upcoming draft. So they could be picked, or they could be seen as a possible threat for a team. So I'm not going to downplay and or ignore that factor whatsoever. That being said, I just don't know, or I don't feel as though it's going to work in their favor. James Wiseman got what he got. Penny should be very accountable. Anthony Hardaway should be accountable for what happened. That's, I think, my best statement to take away from all of this. Wiseman's mother was involved. She accepted the money back in the summer of 2017. And he had already played in a couple of games while he was ineligible. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And it's just an odd story. I just hope that he's able to kind of move properly for the sake of this process. He did mention, or he did post an Instagram post saying, "God has never left me nor forsake me throughout this process. Trust God, keep the faith, stay the course." Me reading that is fine, but just being honest, the consensus is that he's going to be the number one pick for this coming draft. So as long as he can keep a consistent output for the team, there's not much that he would have to worry about as a whole, at least that I'm seeing. But of course, like I said, it's still early. There's still other guys that we have yet to see. I'm waiting to see Vernon Carey Jr. step up and do his part and just kind of, quote unquote, ball out and go from there. So we'll see. We'll just kind of look at it and give it a shot and just look at what happens and run from there. Our next story is a unique but a different story, only because it's a story that I would normally not have talked about, but it's here, so we're gonna jump into it a little bit. Tashia, what's up, yo? My sis, aka Miss 151. Welcome to the show. Daniel Jones has decided to file a trademark request for the name Danny Dimes. He had one breakout game, I believe, against the Bucks, and ever since then, he has fought for that name. And it looks like, I don't know if he's going to get it or not, but it will be one to remember. I will say that. Hang on one second, y'all. The New York Giants rookie quarterback reportedly filed a trademark request in October for Danny Dimes via his agents at CAA. Ronan, who is part of ESPN, added that the request was filed on October 15th, less than a month after Jones' first start for the Giants, in which the rookie led New York back from an 18-point halftime deficit to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which earned him NFL honors and his nickname Great Attention. Jones didn't create the nickname himself. Danny Dimes was brought to the attention back in September. He kind of brushed it off saying, "I don't know, it's all right." I guess there could be worse nicknames, not exactly an enthusiastic endorsement of the moniker. Ronan reported that there are others who wish to profit off the nickname bestowed upon Jones by the internet. 2 trademark applications have already been filed by individuals unassociated with Jones or the Giants, per Ronan. 2 men from Goshen, New York applied for the trademark back on September 17th, before Jones even started an NFL game. A spat over the right to profit over Jones's nickname is sure to come, but first, Jones has a rookie season to complete. In 9 games, Jones has completed 63% of his passes for 1,984 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 8 picks, leading the league in fumbles and New York to a 2-6 record. Nickname aside, the dime that Jones has to worry about first and foremost is that potential number in New York's loss column by season's end. In layman's terms, if they don't come up with a winning season, it's going to be a rough season to look ahead to. I don't know how to really feel about. Well, you know what? Let me backtrack. Him selecting or opting for this nickname is kind of minuscule to me, only because right now it's your rookie year, and the Giants are trash. Let's just call a spade a spade, and it looks rough because even with you owning or attaining that nickname, there still comes the factor of producing with said nickname. And your talent can be as talented as you may think it is, but if you're not producing for the sake of winning, then there are more important things to worry about than trying to get a nickname to be patented or owned as a player or as a quarterback. I mean, he's gonna be the starter to end the season. We already know that. And also the factor of this upcoming season, I don't know. I'm going to be transparent. I don't see Eli. If Eli comes back, it's going to be really shocking. So that's kind of my take on my whole breakdown of it right now. So that's it. That's all I have for that story. Next up, which is rare for me, and I know people are probably going to give me grief for doing this. We have a NASCAR winner. And normally, anyone that knows me knows I joke and talk so much crap about racing or NASCAR. I'm not gonna get my petty terms here today, but I am going to address the winner and address a couple things regarding that and go from there. So first and foremost, we do have a winner for the NASCAR championship, and that was none other than Kyle Busch. Well, let me go ahead and get a full story so we can walk through this, because I don't want to push ahead of everything. The 2019, of course, they're going to give me the most aggressive blindsided ad. The 2019 NASCAR Cup Series came to an anticlimactic end Sunday, with Kyle Busch winning at Homestead Miami Speedway by nearly 5 seconds over Martin Truex Jr. to secure his second career championship. After the final pit stops were completed, Busch's lead was never threatened. Truex, a playoff driver who dominated the race early, trailed by more than 8 seconds and needed a caution to have a chance to catch Busch. But there was only one caution all evening outside of post-stage yellows, and it happened in stage 2. That prevented a dramatic finish and allowed Busch to breathe easy down the stretch. Truex led 103 laps Sunday and won the first stage going away. His fate turned during a second stage pit stop when his crew switched the wrong tires. He was forced to head back down pit road immediately. He received the free pass on a caution and was back among the leaders shortly after but never controlled the race again. Denny Hamlin, who had the pole but lost the lead quickly, had an even more consequential pit mishap. He was fighting for the lead entering the final round of stops, but a piece of grill tape was placed over too much of the grill. That forced a second stop to avoid overheating. He finished 11th. The fourth driver racing for the championship, Kevin Harvick, led for 41 laps and had the lead briefly, but after a late start, but he quickly fell back to a distant fourth. Busch had by far the fastest car in the second half of the race. He won the second stage and led 120 laps overall. His second Cup championship is his first without a bit of an asterisk. His 2015 title came during a season in which he received a medical waiver due to injury. Sporting News tracked live updates highlights from the championship race, and they give you kind of like the rundown of the race itself. They did mention after this occurred that Jimmy Johnson, I think, has either 1 or 2 more years and he's going to end up retiring, which we're not surprised. Johnson was at one point, there wasn't a point that Johnson wasn't winning. So now he's kind of hanging it up and saying, yo, I'm chilling, I'm good, I'm cool. And that's kind of all I have on that story. But, shouts to Kyle Busch for winning that award or winning the NASCAR championship for this year. And then there were 4 again. That's a horrible lead-in because it's going to change again, so we shouldn't get too excited yet. LSU beat Alabama, and that kind of sent everyone into a swirl because the question now becomes, where does that leave Alabama? Should they still be in the top 4? And that loss knocked them out. Right now, your 4 are LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia. This is going to get kind of fun because if Penn State can beat Ohio State, this becomes a more intriguing playoff conversation. I believe LSU plays Georgia in their championship matchup. There's going to be a lot of questions and concerns in reference to these games. Oregon and Utah play against each other. That could possibly bring a Pac-12 team into the conversation. There's just a lot to factor in, and there's a lot to look at that we're not going to see just yet because we've got to see teams play and see if they win or lose to progress in, are you going to solidify your spot? Do I think Alabama's going to get back in? Some weird way, I can see it. It would not shock me if we get another Clemson-Alabama matchup, whether it's in the game leading into the championship or the actual championship game. But they're going to run into each other again. It's a given. This has been kind of like not even a rivalry anymore, but just a big talk that is really gaining a lot of attention. The 2 teams that are right on the edge, as I mentioned, Alabama and Oregon, and a couple top 25, kind of a quick top 25 breakdown. You have Utah, Penn State is 8, Oklahoma's 9, Minnesota's 10. When Minnesota took their loss last week, that affected their playoff hopes because there was a talk that they could have made it. But it also would have been, I wouldn't say strength of schedule. It would have just been who did they play to really earn or gain that spot to get into the conversation. So that's what I have for that. This is going to be interesting this week because it's the first time I think since I've recorded a podcast that I'm not going to be talking about basketball. I did talk about the college debacle and scandal, I guess you can call it. Staygate, that's what I'm going to call it. But we're not going to have any basketball conversations this week. Like I said, I talked fantasy, but not really much to give on that story either. But a big story that did cause waves because I haven't, as many of you may or may not know, I haven't recorded a show since Thursday of last week. So you would be looking at the 14th In 9 days, a lot happened. One story that we talked about but needed it to actually happen, and now it gives me plenty of content and plenty to talk about today, is Colin Kaepernick. I said this to my roommate. I'm going to start with this, and then we're going to talk about the practice. We're going to talk about what happened, and I'm going to kind of give some hindsight to the whole situation. The NFL has missed the mark on this situation involving Kaepernick, because what Kaepernick has been doing this all for in his initial process was for police to bring attention to police brutality. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to be a bold statement, and I just said this to my roommate yesterday, and it's probably going to stick today. If there were an actual athlete in the NFL who had been beaten or gained massive harm and it caused a lot of attention, not a physical beating, but like actually been killed by a police officer. And I have to, let me make sure I'm impeccable with what I'm about to say. If a black NFL player is shot by a white police officer and killed, the NFL would treat this whole story totally different. And I'm saying that with the utmost respect for the league and for the brand. And I'm not saying this with the intent of trying to get my show shut down, but I'm just pointing out what we've witnessed and what's been noticeable. All of that being said and all of that being presented, this story with Kaepernick, and I've said this on the show at least 10 times minimum. The issue with this whole story is that Kaepernick became bigger than the NFL. Kaepernick became bigger than the Shield. This practice became bigger than the NFL. Even with him doing it at a high school football field. The initial practice was to be held at the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if it was their practice facility or their actual field. Well, it's going to be in this article. But they ended up having it at a high school stadium. So this article the first article that I'm going to break down, the free agent quarterback was originally set to work out in front of NFL team representatives at the Falcons facility in Flowery Branch, Georgia, beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That time changed less than an hour before Kaepernick was supposed to take the field, however, because of transparency issues with the NFL. Kaepernick moved his workout back to 4 p.m. and shifted to a high school stadium. Let's see. And they give an explanation from their representatives. Because of the recent decisions made by the NFL, the workout for Colin Kaepernick will be changing to an alternative location in Atlanta, which will now start at 4 p.m. All representatives from the club are invited to attend and will be provided the location. Further, all media will be invited to attend and upon request will be provided with the location. From the outset, Mr. Kaepernick requested a legitimate process, and from the outset, the NFL league office has not provided one. Most recently, the NFL has demanded that as a precondition to the workout, Mr. Kaepernick sign an unusual liability waiver that addresses employment-related issues and rejected the standard liability waiver from physical injury proposed by Mr. Kaepernick's representatives. Additionally, Mr. Kaepernick requested all media be allowed into the workout to observe and film it, and for an independent film crew to be there to ensure transparency. The NFL denied this request based on the prior conduct. Based on the prior conduct by the NFL league office, Mr. Kaepernick simply asked for a transparent and open process, which is why a new location has been selected for today. Mr. Kaepernick looks forward to seeing the representatives from the club today. This one gets tough now because now you're having to clean up something that you're having to modify things based on the NFL standards, based on your standards. There being a mismeeting of the minds. Everything played into this. So Charles Robinson in these tweets gave a lot of information, and I'm going to jump right into what he's saying. And this is going to kind of really give it all and put it in perspective. There was my bad, y'all. There was a significant problem with the type of waiver NFL requested. Kaepernick agreed to sign a normal pro day injury waiver. NFL asked for a more complex waiver with clauses about non-guarantees of employment. So in other words, they're saying, even if you come to this workout, we're not guaranteeing you a spot for an NFL team. We should have known this was coming because he's been out of the league for 3 years. And they don't want that to be the intent of, if you come to this practice, you got a spot. You know you won't get in the spot, but hey, let's play along. We'll continue reading. Kaepernick's camp requested to tape the workout alongside the NFL's crew. They didn't trust the NFL being the only ones with the tape. Kaepernick wanted it taped and released in its entirety to teams and the public after the workout. The NFL refused to allow them to tape it. My question or my follow-up to that is, what does the CBA or the NFL Players Association, how does that work as far as if a player is doing a workout, can they record their own recording? If no other player has that ability or that option to do so, he can't be mad. I'm not taking the NFL side on this, but I'm just bringing everything to full circle to kind of look at it from all perspectives, because there's no right or wrong way to see this other than, as anybody, you just want justice or you just want it to be handled right. 3. When the NFL refused to allow Kaepernick to tape the workout and control their own copy, Kaepernick asked that media be allowed into the workout to view and record the session. NFL said no. That's when Kaepernick felt the league refused to be transparent and asked to change venues. So by there being no media, that then goes into the bucket and the breakdown of, okay, what's next? Because y'all don't want me to have media here. Now I got to play it the way that I feel is safe for me. And by the way, I'm sorry. I know I've been like typing and doing stuff, but my guest should be on the way in a sec. So I'm probably going to be going back on a couple of stories, but not bombarding y'all with too many stories. So anyone that's in Instagram Live, you may hear a couple things again, but we're going to combine it, and I'm going to continue to record it. I'm not going to do a second recording for this show because I don't want to prolong this one on Instagram. At least try not to, because I know 1 hour Instagram lives or Insta lives are not fun, just being honest. But yes, as far as the media factor, I'm not going to say that was a given, because at the end of the day, by the default of the NFL is going to control the NFL's process. That's bottom line. There's no way of getting around that. I don't care who you are, how you look at it. Number 4, it is now up to the NFL teams to decide if they want their reps to relocate to the new venue. They have been invited on site in Flowery Branch. The new location will also make it far easier for teams to access the local airport, meaning NFL reps can attend and easily fly out. So I guess it's more of a convenience, and it's also the factor of it's a Saturday. Remember, let's keep that in mind. It was a Saturday. Teams, players and scouts need to still recruit and prepare for Sunday's game, things of that nature. Let's see. The NFL reportedly presented the Saturday workout to Kaepernick as a take it or leave it deal, fueling speculation that the 32-year-old would choose to pass on the league's offer. Kaepernick ultimately agreed to participate, though saying he's been in shape and ready for this for 3 years. Unfortunately for Kaepernick, the event sounded more like a PR stunt, which Eric Reed mentioned already. Let's see. Only adding to the circus, former NFL coach Hugh Jackson, who was supposed to lead the drills, did not travel to the Riverdale venue. That makes it more odd. Let's see. Kaepernick's agent invited him to attend the relocated workout, which is more than an hour from the original venue. Hey, what's going on, Timothy? Welcome to the show. Less than an hour before it was due to begin, Jackson, however, is headed back to the airport. The NFL then issued a lengthy statement regarding Kaepernick's workout, expressing disappointment he did not appear for the original 3 p.m. start time and revealing it found out about a decision at about 2:30. So they kind of made like a last minute decision on them, and which I've already mentioned and paraphrased all of that information. So what does this all mean? Okay, I'm going to say it because I can. Kaepernick's likely not going to be playing the game in the NFL. And he has to accept that. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow, but he's got to accept it. I don't think it's that teams don't want him on their team. I just don't think what he's looking for and what this has turned into has all gone out of proportion. Because if you're genuinely trying to get into the NFL, there should be a little bit of a flexibility and a compromise on both sides. And I don't feel like either side wanted to break face or lose like their option of leniency involving this. And you can see it in how this was all handled, because they could have easily came up with a simple venue and have it all set up so that for the sake of you getting the proper workout and getting teams to properly see you, even with or without media, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Someone in my chat on Instagram just said, I read online that 2 teams are thinking of signing Colin Kaepernick. I'm gonna respond to that in a second. You have to know with doing this type of a process that there's going to be challenges involved. And I probably lost my train of thought because I'm probably going to go somewhere different. But since you asked, and since this already has been brought up, what 2 teams are looking at or interested in him? I guess that'll be my first question. And 2, out of those 2 teams, is there a realistic possibility of him going to either of those teams? So if you have that information, fine. Also, because I'm a podcaster and because I'm strict about it, are they reliable sources? Is the source that said that a reliable source, or is it still kind of like an up in the air thing? Because stories on Instagram, and before I get into stuff, I'm going to talk about this. Instagram, Bleacher Report, Slam, Fox Sports, Fox News, Kotaku, The Verge, Engadget, everyone gets stories. But if your story isn't as reliable and isn't as solid as it could be presented, it's tough to present it to the next party without making sure it's like, hey, I believe this, so that's a credible source. So I'm not saying that the source of the information you have is credible. I just want to make sure it's like gonna not be a wild card of, oh, I would have never thought of that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all I'm thinking of. So that's all I have on that part. We're going to jump into stuff before I get too long-winded, because I figured talking about the Kaepernick story was going to be a big consumption of this podcast, and I'm okay with that. We're going to get into stuff. First story I have is Xbox looks like they're joining the wave of the Netflixes, the Disney Pluses, the Hulu Pluses, the different platforms that are offering it as, if you're getting this service, we're going to add these things into the service. And personally, I'm okay with that. Because right now, companies are going to do whatever they can to get you on board. You walk in. You come and walk to the right. Sorry about that. Looks like my guest is here, and I forgot because he came into for the recording room, and I'm gonna explain to him that I didn't use the recording room. I did. Like I get a study room and I record. Yeah, okay, here you come now. So we're gonna switch up the show a little bit. Got my guest walking in now. Let him get his headset on real quick. Come in and get squared away. I'm gonna give him the fun story. So welcome to the show.
What's good, man?
What's up, man?
How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Thanks.
Sorry I'm late. So sorry.
No, you good. You came at a good time because we had just finished. So I'll give you the quick cliff note. We had just finished the James Wiseman story about him getting suspended 12 games.
Okay.
We already did the Colin Kaepernick story, which I'm going to go back. I'm already told people because I'm doing IG recording, but even with you being in, you'll give a good talk because we talked about this off air like a couple days ago.
Right.
So, the show might go warning. We're going to probably be pushing this right to not 1, but to 2:00. I'm just warning now because I know how conversations go with us with talking about stuff, and he's a podcaster as well. And I had him like come in and sit, but if you want to introduce and give a brief promo.
All right, what's up with y'all? My name is Dre. Well, some people call me Steven. It sounds crazy. Who has 2 names? But I do. Just depending on where you meet me. But I have a podcast. It's called Lost Like Y'all. Basically, what I do is I created a platform in my backseat for anybody who's back there while basically Ubering around. So, if you happen to end up in my backseat and you hear a guy talking about a podcast, it's probably me. And if you're in the Richmond area, there's a very chance that it's still probably me. So, with all that being said, go check it out. It's pretty cool little thing I came up with. Well, it was a series of events that let this happen, but I think the episodes are a little thoughtful. You know what I mean? A little thought provoking either way. And I just hope you guys check it out.
So Steve's humble, and he knows I'm not. It's organic what he did because when he explained it to me, and he actually had me link up with the guy because we're both part of a group, RVA Podcast Network.
Shout out to him.
So I definitely want to, just kind of like triple shout outs. And I'll definitely put his link in the show notes as well for the podcast. But I will say, like, I don't think I've heard anyone or know anyone that's doing like an Uber podcast or a traveling podcast that in that platform. Like, yeah, we got the karaoke carpool, but that's kind of like
right
high end, like, okay, doing the most. This is just, hey, we're having a real conversation. This is something that is not going to be your average conversation.
And the thing is, it's not that it's not the average conversation, bro. It really is the average conversation. People are very reserved about what they say these days. Mm-hmm. And I think that basically puts people in a place where they only speak in the privacy of somebody they trust. You know, when it comes to like deviant thought, the deviant thought process in terms of what's going on. Anybody who may be questioning America and why things happen the way they do, mm-hmm. whether that be a political thing or a day-to-day thing, whatever it is. The episodes are both serious and funny, so you just depends on what day you catch us and what we talking about,
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm gonna go back because I was getting ready to do the story about Xbox. I got like a couple stories that I had queued up.
Okay.
But I'm gonna get to those in a bit. Like I said, I know the Wiseman story is kind of like up in the air, but we'll talk about Kaepernick because that was the story we talked about in class because we're taking a class together. We actually took a class, so I'll kind of give our brief backstory, and it'll kind of put you to where we are now.
Right.
We were in class, was in class for a couple weeks. I think the first or the second week, Steve pulled me aside and like he had like that woosah, come to Jesus, like, look, we need to talk. And I was like, it wasn't like we need to talk, like, look, we got problems. It's just, I need your input. I want to talk about something. He talked about things. Hey, Felicia, welcome to the show. He talked about a couple things, and I kind of gave my thoughts on it. It built that bridge with us. And then it was coincidence when it turned out that he was like, oh, well, I do a podcast. I was like, oh, well, I'm doing a podcast too. And we literally have just been like in a network discussion of having like open dialogue. Like for me, I'm always okay, even if I don't have my physical microphone, I'm always like, yeah, this will be a good little topic. Or I'm always keeping a notepad. Like, yeah, I might talk about this later on.
Right.
So now we've collaborated and talked. Like I told him, I was like, I want him on the show. He happened to say, hey, just get up with me, let me know. And I was like, hey, well, I'm actually going to be recording this Saturday. And I usually do. I've been the library room recorder probably for about almost a year. And what I do is I like doing these rooms because I get it. They have equipment. I love their equipment, but I'm preferring I get in here, I can get my setup, and I can just go. And I got
cool. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I got my 2 hours. I can't set it up like I want, but if I could put sound pads on the wall, this would be like my perfect acoustic little setup.
I feel like, even with that being said, like this really just like this is actually a perfect scene to like get somebody to like record you. I stay away from the recording for a reason with my podcast, but I think yours will make for a good visual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I should leave mine to the imagination just because of the stories and the people already wanting to be anonymous. It just turned into me making a bunch of blurred faces anyway.
Right.
You know, so.
And I did that a few years ago when I first started this show. I'm going to be honest. I literally was like, I didn't want anybody to know who I was. Mm-hmm. I just kind of did the podcast. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just I'm going to put who I am. I made my website, made my pictures and everything. I made it like, hey, this is me. Okay. And I accepted it. All right. So Kaepernick did a thing last week. He
you talking about his
practice,
right? His
quote unquote PR stunt,
his workout.
Yeah. Without going too heavy into detail, or if you emptied the clip, that's fine. What did you feel could have been or can possibly be taken away from that workout?
Well, initially, I was thinking like, what was that? Mm-hmm. I guess he can speak from a place of confidence, and I mean, we could take it as far as arrogance even.
Right.
He was a Super Bowl quarterback, maybe not a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but they did have to cut the lights off on him.
Yeah, literally. No pun intended. That was that year.
They had to cut the lights off on the boy because he was about to take it to who was they playing? Was it Baltimore? Yeah, because the coaches was brothers. I remember that.
Yeah,
Harbaugh. Yeah. So, in his defense, man, like he do stand. They did blackball him. Everybody know it. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I can understand it. Are we cursing on this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
honestly, I can understand completely if he told the whole nation, well, anybody who didn't support him to kiss my ass, So
right.
But at the end of the day, you're trying to get back in the league, so I don't know what that was all about. But with that being said, I mean, I was just reading that it's two teams, at least, reportedly interested in him. So
have they given the names of the teams yet or not really?
I do not see names, but.
Because I always like when they do stories like this, and you coming in is the perfect point. Because I was just talking about this on the live story. It's always tough when they get those. Because one of the guys who's in my chat, he literally said, "I read online that two teams are thinking of signing Colin Kaepernick." So then, of course, like I asked him like, "So what are the two teams?" And I think a lot of it is teams don't want to say anything because they don't want to be looked at as we're going against what the other 30. The other 30 teams are decided to do.
Right. So what does that mean for your organization?
Right. Are you trying to be bigger? Because I said this earlier, mm-hmm. and I'm going to say it again. And if this is my last show, then I'll claim it as my last show because it's a very blatant statement. Number one, and we talked about this before, Kaepernick's issue was he was bigger than the Shield.
Right.
You can't be bigger than the Shield
Right.
in any circumstance.
Right.
Like the only other way that you become bigger than the Shield, which we saw a couple weeks ago, is when you take your helmet off. Once your helmet comes off, you're bigger. We can't.
And that's the real reason Antonio Brown's not in the league right now.
100%.
It's not because he's about to be guilty. I don't think the man's about to be guilty at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be wrong. I'm not gonna turn this into victim blaming. I'm just saying, like, these lines get misconstrued and crossed all the time. So, but more than anything, in New England, he was a distraction, and they ain't like that shit.
Distraction.
Yeah, they don't play that shit up there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
All the wide receivers, because we talked about that, I think last Tuesday,
right?
Where it was like any wide receiver that comes in, you don't come in and try to be bigger than the sport or bigger than the team. This is a random sidebar. One of the listeners just said he has a nice radio voice, so that's a compliment for you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank y'all. I don't know who said it, but I appreciate it.
My friend, that was Felicia, the one that I just said hey to.
Okay.
The other part that I said, and if I'm going down my own road, I'll take my chances. The reason that so we all know Kaepernick was doing this, his main focus of all of this was police brutality.
Right.
The NFL took a side eye to it because of Kaepernick taking a knee, missing everything because it's like we got the national anthem, the military all involved, all of that great whoop-de-doo.
Right.
If an NFL, and I got to say this precisely, if a black NFL player were to be shot by a white police officer, the NFL would treat all of this differently.
I agree. I know
it's a bold statement.
No, it's not a bold statement. I think it's the fact. Like you just said, like you just stated, it's all about the Shield. So that turns into an instant PR package for them.
Yes.
See, they're not sure if the police were going to be for them going with Kaepernick or not. At the end of the day, Kaepernick didn't do anything. That's how you know that was just white people getting nervous.
Yeah.
They wasn't sure how this cancel culture was going to act.
Yeah.
You know, in regard to him doing that. He done nothing wrong. It ain't even like, you know, he was holding up a black fist while he was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just took a knee, something that every football player has been doing since Little League.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
but because he did it on a major stage, as well as it was because at that time San Fran was a somewhat high profile team.
Yeah, they was. They was a Super Bowl team, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? How dare you, nigga?
Yeah, because I think by then was Garoppolo. Garoppolo didn't get there yet. It was, I can't remember who, because
Alex Smith was still there.
That's right. Okay, yeah, whoever.
Or maybe he was in Kansas City at that point, but I'm pretty sure that was the end of his reign. Cap took his job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just, like, it's not, I mean, we all know what it is, you know, but
it's a business.
Yeah, but in terms of that Shield, they would definitely 100% be on some stop the violence, police brutality. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, right. I can see that shit right now. You know what I mean? Like, just going across the screen right after, we'll be right back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I will say this. Cap ain't the only one that ever, like, to try to, you know, it's a few faces that make it out from behind the Shield no matter what. But that Shield is, they don't want people to see their faces, because the reality of it is most football players aren't capable of conducting themselves in public.
You say they are or they're not?
They're not. Most of them.
No, that's actually valid.
Most of them are savages.
That's valid. No, that's a valid statement. Yeah. Like, if I took, I'm reaching, but I'm gonna read. I'm not
calling them dumb or anything. I'm just saying, like,
if I took an anonymous lineman that's not media trained, I stand him in front of the Shield, or I stand him in front of the media, and you gotta do the PR media breakdown. You media trained, you ready,
right?
You good. If I took that same person and you just happen to run into them off the street, if it was a TMZ interview, we'll say, because, you know, TMZ always is reckless with what they ask. That conversation can go totally different if you're not in the right tutelage of thinking, if I say or do this, this can affect my brand.
Right.
A lot of players, and I didn't learn this until a couple of years ago. Everyone is there. And even though I'm not with the company, I'm not going to say the name because I've learned to grow from doing that. But their presentation was always, you are your own brand. And you have to be sure to maintain and uphold that brand. Like with us, we both do a podcast. Your podcast is your representation of your brand. You don't want anyone to say or tarnish anything against that brand. I'm like that with my podcast, with my blogging, anything that I do. And I even had this conversation with my roommate of a few years ago. Was I acting a fool with social media? Absolutely. But now it's like, I got to make sure I act different. Tom Brady want to keep his lights on. Tom Brady ain't going to say nothing crazy because he know as long as he keep his clean stature, them checks coming in.
Right.
LeBron probably has had a lot of stuff that may have happened in the background. Mm-hmm. It's not going to come to the forefront because you're going to get that paid off. You'll get that squared away. This story with Cap, I think what makes it so tough is the NFL didn't know how to handle this from the time it started. And once it blew up as big as it did, it wasn't about, is Kaepernick going to play another game in the NFL? It's, what can we do to shut him up?
I look at the NFL like a bigger New England Patriots. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is they just don't tolerate the fuck shit. You know, so you take the Ray Rice incident. Mm-hmm. Obviously, him and Cap stories are two polar opposite stories, scenarios. It went from the NFL was willing to hide it a little bit when it first jumped off, when they first heard the story and everything. Right. It was like, all right, we'll suspend him, we'll tap him on the wrist, we'll acknowledge this, but we're gonna give him a second chance. Once that shit went past that and the video came out,
they was out of it.
Yeah, it was like, nah. Yeah. The shield is looking crazy. Yeah. So for them, it's like once the shield look crazy, like we just.
I'm going in the IG. Keep listening on the record. Keep going. You good? All right. My bad.
But
yeah, you're. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but for real, like they just don't tolerate. Like you just can't be out. You can't cause the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And as much as it wasn't, as much as that wasn't nonsense, I gotta appreciate the fact that he stood strong in what he believed, even to this day. You know, but I don't think he regrets it or anything. And who knows what he really made in that settlement? I personally think he came up in the settlement. You know what I'm saying?
I do too. And I'm trying not to be this person, but I've realized that I am from doing this with podcasting. I don't care what he made. Right. I don't care only because what he did or did not make is not going to affect what I'm trying to do. In the sense of your business is your business. Mm-hmm. I get that people, yes, I'm a podcaster. Yes, we're podcasting. Yes, I need media. I need content. But I don't need content to the point that I need to know how much money he made so that I can figure out how I can sway my story. Right. If he made 20 million, if he made 50 million.
That doesn't even matter.
Right. Because what we also have to remember, and once somebody brought this to my attention, and we talked about it a few days ago, the league is a multi-billion-dollar business. Right. When I realized Dallas is 66 alone. Right. That made me really look at it as they don't care if I'm watching them, and because somebody we were talking about this at work one day about the incident, like the fighting incident, which I didn't even talk about on the show, but we'll jump into that briefly. Fans are gonna watch the game, whether that fight happening, regardless of how it did. Fans are gonna watch. Now you're gonna lose fans. You're gonna lose a couple fans based on certain things, but
what fight are we talking about now?
The Browns and Steelers.
Okay.
The helmet.
Right.
The helmet hit or whatever. Right. It doesn't. It's not going to impact fans to the point where they're like, yeah, he hit him in the head with a helmet. I'm not watching. I'm cutting off football. I'm never gonna watch it again.
Yeah, let's be clear. Like we watched Not a world peace.
Oh, it's 15 years since that happened, right?
But I knew it had been a minute because I seen something last year that said it was a minute. So, yeah. But
we watched the Balance at the Palace, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, yo, it don't get no more crazier than that.
Yeah, there was a lot of haymakers that came from that.
Right, and it stands still packed to this day. So, and let's be clear, at the end of the day, all we want to see is somebody get hit hard.
Right.
So trying to watch football in this post, please don't hit him with your helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like, yo, if y'all gonna like dead the sport, cut the sport out altogether.
Yeah, aka the no, as we used to call it in our sports group, the no fun league.
Please, like, like dead the sport altogether. Like, if let's be clear, the human body or the human being used to sit and watch gladiators go at it. Like watching somebody die for real.
Like real gladiator type.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like watching somebody get just mutilated was entertainment at one point in time amongst people. So at this point, like, don't get me wrong, like the CTE thing and like all of that's crazy. Like it's crazy. It's like it's really bad. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, yo, you can't just get millions of dollars and think it ain't gonna be no sacrifice for it.
Nah, at all. That's it. It comes with the territory. When you sign up for it, like it's gotten so in depth now. It ain't even at the NFL level. Like you mentioned earlier about, kids taught to kneel. They talk to kids now. Like kids are taught about how to properly tackle, how to not. What's the term? Not tagging. It's like where you're trying to you're trying to tackle someone to hit them, not tackling them with the intent of trying to hurt them.
Right.
And it's tough because the NFL, I don't know if it was last year. It was I think it was last season. Because I think Alex Smith got hit. And it's not Kuechly. He was with Green Bay, but he's with another team. He tackled Alex Smith. And literally, the referee gave him a penalty flag and was like, bruh, I can't stop myself from moving. I'm in motion.
Like, I'm moving.
Yeah, I can't like, I'm literally over 200 pounds.
Right.
Moving at full speed. I can't stop on a dime like that. Like, no athlete. And the tough part about it is these rules are enforced by guys who are literally smaller than most quarterbacks in the NFL.
You know what makes me laugh about it all is that meanwhile, in Vegas, somebody's getting their head bashed in, right? You know what I'm saying? Like right now, this Saturday night or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's a boxing match this weekend. Last week, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, if this is what you sign up for, this is what you sign up for.
Yeah.
I watched them. I watched them caught Shannon Sharp's brother, Sterling Sharp. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I watched them. I will never forget the day I thought his neck snapped out that joint. Mm-hmm. And he was one of my favorite players because I was a Brett Favre fan outside of being a Redskin. You know what I'm saying? Like I respected Green Bay. So it was just crazy to me that, it would go down in that nature, in that regard. And I guess at the end of the day, you still that's the chance you take,
Yeah.
People out here taking their kids to the Jumpology and kids getting their neck broke, parents signing waivers and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm never thinking of it like that, but you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the chance you taking.
Right.
So I definitely don't feel sorry for you if there's millions of dollars on the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's part of the business. The contracts those guys make are insane. Yeah. So Kaepernick did his thing. He showed up. The two teams are interested. So that's, I guess, it's just kind of a wait and see. I know I did say I was doing stuff. I'm going to abbreviate my stuff a little bit because the title I have for the show, oddly, was Tesla and T-Mobile. T-Mobile for the fact that the CEO stepped down.
Okay.
He stepped down from his role, which I kind of saw that coming, only because he's working on his own platform, as well as the fact that the infamous Sprint and T-Mobile merger is supposed to happen at some point. They won't say when, but from what this article is saying, T-Mobile announced Monday that CEO John Legere will be stepping down at the end of next April after his contract expires. The surprise move comes as speculation swirls about the possibility that Legere was a leading contender to become the next CEO of WeWork, although Legere shot down reports that he was looking for a job. He'll be replaced by Mike Siebert, who is the president and chief operating officer at T-Mobile. The company said Legere is going to remain a board member and will assist with the company's pending acquisition of rival Sprint. This is where it comes full circle, and this is going to be where we might have a fun conversation. Sprint is controlled by Japanese investing giant SoftBank, which also has a controlling interest in WeWork. So it literally is technically like he would still be working for T-Mobile without working for T-Mobile.
Exactly, and that's what he already know, I guarantee.
He knew this before he made this transition.
Right.
Since we're in class and we're doing cybersecurity, this is the other part of the T-Mobile part. And I'm going to get to Tesla because I saw the Tesla device and I'm just like, oh, here we go. T-Mobile confirms customers' personal data accessed and hacked. Now, I never noticed that I've become glued to these stories more since I've gone to school for network and cybersecurity. But I've not heard or seen as many account compromise stories in the last month than I have in just, I'll sit here and I'm like, Facebook got hacked. Right. Oh, Discord got hacked. Xbox got, I'm like, look, what is going on?
I think that, I think a lot of money's on the line and people, I think it's two type of hackers, right?
Yeah.
It's the type of hacker who's after money,
mm-hmm.
and then it's the type of hacker who just wants to see if he can hack
and generate being in their own movie after they was able to get through the hack. Like I think it was a movie that was done like a few years back where they got in the system and it's like, all right, cool. So we'll put you in jail, but we're gonna make a movie about what you did after we let you.
Right. I think I do remember seeing that movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, that I mean, you know. I don't know, man. It's just like when those type of things start getting, I feel like none of it's safe. None of our data is safe. None of it, you know what I mean? Like
data has lost. No, let me backtrack. Data has a very unique value. Mm-hmm. I won't say it hasn't lost its value. I won't say it's gained its value. It's a very unique value. And here's why. I'm going old school. I probably talked about this on my show multiple times. Remember AOL?
Yes.
Remember when you first signed up for AOL and they would have you check all these boxes off and they would say, what are you interested in? Oh, I like sports. I like entertainment. I like music. I like video games. I like all these different things.
Right.
How did they set up the pop-up ads at that time? Anything that you had checked off, that's what your pop-ups were for the longest time on AOL. So then companies said, all right, we're going to make these pop-up blockers so that you won't get these pop-up ads. All right, that's kind of smart. That's cool. Great, whatever. What they do this year, which I still think is the scariest thing, and this is where technology creeps me out. And I have to make sure because I don't want to say nothing now and then something scrolls on my page when it happens. If you talk about a company or if you mention something related to a company and it's not in the article that you're looking at, an ad comes up related to that company. And it sounds weird, but I've seen it happen where I'll be like, man, I'm looking at trying to get some new lights on Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And you scrolling on your phone and all of a sudden, Amazon sponsored promo. Hey, do you want to look at these products that we have on Amazon's page? And you're like, I didn't even go to the website. Like most times how some of them do it is you go to Office Max. You might look at some on Office Max, say, all right, I might buy this, but I don't know if I want to buy it yet. You just do some random web surfing and somewhere in the middle of that other page, the Office Max ad comes up. So it's like data is being tracked without you even having to necessarily have any type of a profile on any social media at all.
There's no security.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's funny. I wish I knew exactly how many people read terms of service for all the websites that they participate in.
You want my honest answer? I would say 0.5%. And I know that's a strong stretch because it's probably not even that high. And here's why.
That's funny. I was thinking like 98% of the people definitely don't read that shit.
Yeah, it's lower than that. Because number one, we are not readers.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying. Nobody's reading that shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
people just signing their life away.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at your phone, when you set up a new phone and they had that whole disclosure of everything.
Fuck that! I'm trying to swipe.
See, bam, there it is. That's
what they do. That's why I said 98% of the population that is involved in that shit.
99.5.
Yeah.
99.5. We in the same room.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think we missed each other for a second.
No, we didn't. No, I'm with you.
All right,
we're on the same hit. You saying they don't do it? I'm just saying it's even worse. I just don't think.
I feel you. You would give it even a smaller percentage.
Yeah, because the reason why is, like you said, I just want what I need and just send me on my way.
Yeah.
Let me not think of, if I go to this, that my information is available. Like
that shit could say in the terms of service, I'm about to take all your amendments away, and motherfuckers would never see it.
Be like, all right, cool, fine, whatever. Let me just get to my stuff.
Just like, my god, we're use this facial recognition real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like we've been talking. Like I know I joked about it as an example, and I'm not going to use names because I have to always remember PR. We were talking about it like with someone, like if you give somebody, hey, write this code out, and I put on the code, you ain't paying no attention to it. You just typing out the code and hoping that it works. But somewhere in the code it says you give up the rights to anything on this page, and you just typing it out because you ain't really paying no attention. And then that comes up. Well, what did I just do? Well, did you read what you did? No, I didn't read it. I just did it. I don't care. I'm just following the instructions. And it's like, we got to know, like, we as people have not gotten good with knowing how to process instructions. We just look at it as whatever the instructions say, we're going to do it. We know to get in the car, turn the key in the ignition, back up or pull off or whatever and go. Let me make sure I keep track of the traffic that's around. Let me keep track of any kids that may get out. Like coming here, it was like, I'm getting in my car, getting ready to pull off. This lady sitting beside me, and I know she's getting ready to open her door, and I'm like, I'm just gonna wait because I know what's about to happen because I'm not about to hit her door. And she eventually gets out of the door, and then it turns into a conversation. Where did you get to eat? I'm just like, I don't feel like talking. Here's what I got. And she's like, oh, mozzarella sticks. Okay, fine, get out. Let me get out my space. But it's like we don't think of all the intangibles because we just think of we want what we want. Yeah. Like YouTube changed up. YouTube really changed up. Like they changed face as far as what their platform initially was, the how-to and the music guide. Now you have to, from what I'm understanding, and I didn't even put this as a story, but I guess I can talk about it now. YouTube is now making itself like the target for kids, where if you say or do anything, it has to be child safe.
Right.
Like I've said this numerous times as far as
I think they've always been that though.
Yes.
I mean, because people thought they was gonna make YouTube like a Pornhub almost at one point, in terms of just like nudity. Mm-hmm. Like they never, I feel like they never let that shit go down. You know what I'm saying?
They won't let that.
I mean, just in terms of like, somebody might be at Mardi Gras or whatever. It just ain't flying if it ain't.
Yeah, because as soon as it looked like I got a funny question for you.
Right.
The person that you think has to check these videos, how many people do you think they got? Well, one, do you think they have a lot of people that has to check videos?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
Just because so many are uploaded on the daily.
And two, how many do you think they find? And like, how often do you think they're having to pull videos?
Well, I think every day.
Okay.
I think every day for sure. Like something. I'm pretty sure every day some white nationalist, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Some Trump supporting, like, bigot down in fucking Mississippi is,
in his bag.
Yeah, he in his bag and he trying to talk all the cash that he can, and whatever, and for the most part, they'll let things like that fly. But if it's too extreme, it's not going to fly.
Yeah.
It's not going to fly.
That's true. So we got our hackers and our compromises. I got a quick. I got a random. So my show I do because I'm like, I had you just walk in. I ain't give you no format, no nothing. I'm just like, all right, we're going to improv. I'm going to share. I don't want to share this dolphin story because I'm still torn about it because it frustrated me. I don't know if you heard about it. So Mark Walton got cut by the Dolphins. He struck his pregnant girlfriend. I don't want to talk about that story too much because that's just like insane.
Damn.
So on my show, I do two things. I do what's called an ass of the week and I do a pass of the week. It's like kind of a sharing part.
All right.
The ass of the week you're going to love.
All right.
Pretty much.
So hold on. Do we mean like
somebody that did something stupid?
I didn't thought I had to make sure we wasn't talking about.
No. I can't. No, I got to keep a brand.
All right, cool.
The ass of the week. So most of the time, we usually preface. I'm gonna preface this for you since you knew.
All right.
Ass of the week usually come from Florida, Alabama, or they come from somewhere crazy that you just wouldn't expect. And this one is no exception. This is in Argentina. I'm just gonna read the title, and then we're gonna have fun. Woman in Argentina caught with 9 pounds of marijuana hidden inside fake baby bump. That's what,
9 pounds?
Yeah.
All right.
Narco pregnancy. That's what officials in Argentina said about a woman's fake baby bump filled with marijuana. This is my show. I'm telling you. I find these stories and I be like, this is real. We're going to talk about it.
All right.
Police say the woman was caught carrying 15 bricks of weed hidden inside a fake belly. She was traveling with a group near the Chilean border when officers stopped him. They initially searched the man in the group and found marijuana in his bag. Then officers said they noticed a woman with a fake belly. Police say the woman made the belly out of paste. That's the story.
I think that's pretty talented. So I'm imagining like some kind of paper mache.
I get his
pregnancy.
There's your visual.
That's it. That's what I envision. I envision, you know what I'm saying? Just not with the newspaper. Just
sad. So I always find these little fun stories. Yeah, it's creative. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to put the Mark Walton story in my show notes, but I'm not going to publicly talk about it. This is a pass of the week. This is a unique pass of the week. This is kind of be cool. So you heard of the Nerf football?
Yeah.
The inventor of the Nerf football actually passed.
Oh shit!
And I did not know that he was an ex-Vikings kicker until I read this article.
Yo, so Pat Summerall isn't the only contributor to the culture. You know what I'm saying? As far as kickers go.
Nope. So Fred Cox, no pun intended, that's an odd name, but he did die at the age of 80. He had never missed a game in 15 seasons from 1963 to 1977.
If he lived to be 80, I believe that.
Yeah, he finished his career with 1,365 points, led the Vikings in scoring for 11 consecutive seasons. He did win the final NFL championship game in 1969. He also went on to win 4 Super Bowls he went to 4 Super Bowls with the Vikings. They were all losses.
Yeah.
When he retired, he was second in NFL history in scoring behind George Blanda, who also played quarterback and had made 282 field goals. And then they give a little bit of information about him. But I just thought it was interesting because he invented the Nerf football. That was just like the wow 2% factor for me.
Right.
So that's that part. I usually do music sesh. There wasn't a lot of music that I listened to. Actually, I got a guess. I forgot. What is a new or a good song that you have recently found that might be a good recommendation to the listeners?
Shit.
See, this is why I like this is the part. So I normally call this while you looking up your song. I call this the AirPod escape or the Beats escape.
All right, okay, I like that.
So it's kind of like your way of like, I'm just gonna put on these headphones and disconnect for a second and get into my vibe.
So a lot of people would be mad at me for saying this, but damn, dude, would you really put me on the spot like that with the music?
That's my goal.
All right, so I got a song. I got to give you a song, right?
Yeah, this is the name of it. Name and artist, and I'll share it. I'll share the YouTube link for it in the post production.
All right.
While you doing that,
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just give you my song that I've been solid on for at least like the last 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
And now it's been about 2 weeks. So is this girl who goes by the name of Bonfire, and she's got a song featuring Black.
Okay.
Called You Say. I love that song.
Okay.
And it was like I think I can coin a new term when I say there's a such thing as stereotyping of the ears.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you could hear some shit and swear that's a white person, a black person, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And this woman is a white woman, and she can blow, bro.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In a very soulful way. So
I feel like
they playing it on the radio right now, but that's how I know it's a dope song. Because normally I'm sick of everything on the radio.
Yeah, and you said it's black and what's her name?
The Bonfire. She spelled it B.
Oh yeah, this song. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my joint right now. But if I had,
you say a lot of things.
Right. So
good one.
But I gotta give you an album too, man.
Okay.
And
you gonna laugh when I tell you my album that I went back and listened to. I think I got a lot of grief on my page when I shared. I was like, I'm going back and I'm actually listening to.
I'm not even. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not even man enough to tell you what album I'm loving right now. What song
I just got back and listened to Meg's album.
Mace?
Meg Thee Stallion.
Meg's? Oh, Meg hard though. Meg be spitting, bro.
That's what I'm telling you.
Listen, man, like, to anybody out there listening that feels a way about the women takeover throughout hip hop right now, let me be the first to tell you, they rapping better than a lot of them dudes out there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not listening to NBA or whatever he is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's pretty solid. I mean, he's pretty solid. I'm not gonna take nothing away from him. I'm not a fan of him. I don't listen to him, but I have heard songs and understood very quickly why people listen to him.
I gravitate.
You know what I'm saying? But I just think at this point in my life, like, I just really don't be listening to the. I understand energy in a different way, so I don't even really be putting the gangster shit in my spirit no more like that. Unless it's like some old school, something vintage in my world. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it could be. Some Hove, you know what I mean?
Definitely Hove.
But yeah, man, if I really had to be honest with y'all, the people who listening, so Post Malone, I'm a huge Post Malone fan, dude.
Okay.
A huge Post Malone fan.
Potential Stan?
Stan? Nah, because at the end of the day, I think he looks like a fucking weirdo. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like,
that's fair.
Just in terms of just, you know, he doesn't really look like the dude I would be chilling with. You know what I'm saying? Or in my crew. You know what I mean? But I respect music, dog. And that dude make good music. Okay. He make good music, you know.
All right.
So Hollywood's Bleeding is definitely in
one of them.
Yeah, it's getting spins right now.
Okay. I need to go back and re-spin it because I always talk about this on the show. Digital listening is hard, but it's easy.
Right.
Because what happens is if I listen to this album, the question becomes, am I going to replay it again? Like for me this year, I found myself running back to the Ari Lennox album a lot. And it's like, this actually is not a bad album. Snow Allegra, I've talked about her a lot on the podcast. Certain artists just have good songs or good albums that just hit at the right point. So it's just kind of finding that one that sticks. So I mean, having Post, I'll definitely get that in there. And the You Say joint, I've even seen the video for that song. It's a pretty good song. One last part. And I'm almost at about an hour and 30. I do a message, and I'm gonna murder this part of the podcast because I got a lot to talk about.
All right.
But I'm gonna let you go first. It's a segment that I call, since the podcast is called The Pass. One thing that I like to do is leave people, walk away with a good message. So it's like I call it Pass the Message. So if there's a message that you want to pass along to the listeners and give out whatever you want, it's like your spot.
Okay. Well, I've been through a lot recently, with people I know, and what hurts, what not really so much as hurts, but what blows your mind, I think more than anything, when you encounter a situation with people you love that lets you down, is that, like I said, it's just mind blowing. It's so shocking. You put so much faith in people that you love. Like the ones that you know, like, whether it be like your A1s or your wifeys or your brothers or sisters, whatever, no matter who it is, you expect them to be there and that's that, you know? So, in the event that anybody out there has found themselves in that position where somebody done let them down that they love recently, all I can tell you is this. and it's true to be, like, I've been saying this for years, and I'm going to say it to the end of my days. The longer you know somebody, the better the chance they stand of letting you down. So, with that being said, when you find yourself in the middle with 10, 15, 20 years with a friend and something wild happened, sometimes you just gotta let it go, even when they crush you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the past, yo. Like, just remember I said it, you heard it here. The longer you know anybody, the better chance they stand of letting you down.
I like that. That's good. I don't know if I want to do mine now, but I'm doing mine because I'm just people, man. You literally, like, that was a layup. Like, you just do that, put it on the rim, and I'm about to take that.
Oh shit.
Number one, before I do that, first, thank you for coming on the show. I'm glad you came in. No, like, it was fun because it was even better because even with me, I have my little format, but it's fun because I like improv, and it's also just a good dialogue of just talking about different stuff.
For sure.
That's my main thing.
For sure.
So that's number one. Number two, my message that I'm passing along is, and since we are definitely going to be explicit, and I hope I don't offend my neighbors what I'm about to say, but I don't give a shit. Don't fuck with people's time.
Right.
I don't. And this is a broad statement because I dealt with this yesterday, but I also thought about a lot of people that I've dealt with when it comes to time. So I'm gonna backtrack because I want to make sure I'm clear. Us, we're good. Right. I knew you were gonna show up, so I wasn't like, dang, he'll get hit. I'm fine. Right, that ain't this. That's not where this is. This ain't in that space.
No, I didn't think that at all.
Yeah, I know. I'm just. This is me. This is my podcast. Genuine.
I really think you're on to something though. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, friend of mine. I'm out watching soccer, hanging out, chilling, and I'm getting this conversation of, hey, I'm in a relaxed state. I want you to come over and hang out, and we can just hang out and talk and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, sure. Okay. I'm going to finish up, wrap up what I'm doing, head your way. I'm contacting you as I'm on the way. No response, no response. If I show up to your place, you act like you don't want to answer, fine, I understand that. But then when you finally answer, and it's like you let me in, and then you go off and do you, I'm sitting here, I'm feeling a certain type of way. The certain type of way hit for me harder because not only am I feeling a way about that, then it literally reverted me from how I used to move and how I move now. How I used to move was, you know what, I'm here. I'm just going to take advantage of the moment and just chill and enjoy everything. Me now, I'm like, my time is golden.
It is, dude.
So I'm going to go out and do something. And I was like, I went back, told the person, hey, look, you sleep, whatever. I'm leaving. I got to go. I left out and I felt bad because I know most times if you leave, you want to make sure a person's house locked, all that stuff. I was like, no. I'll deal with all that in the morning because if I say anything or react on anything now, when we react on things immediately, and we're at level 4,000, we don't process everything properly. And I wasn't in that space to do it at that moment. So I was like, nope, I'm going to be relaxing. I'm going to go to a bar nearby, get a drink or two, get something to eat, and just mellow out. And I did. And it's in that spectrum, I realize how important time is. But I also realize it when it comes to meeting people, dating people, interacting with folks, where it's like you may meet them and you think it's working, but then it's like a couple of weeks, couple months into it, you see it's not. You see or saw that it wasn't working out, but you still are trying to push along the way when it's like, look.
It's funny you said that because it's funny you brought up the time thing in general, man. Like, so once I started like ride sharing or whatever, and well, for people who don't know, like Uber or Lyft, you know what I mean, like. I've found myself with both apps on, right?
Right.
So every time I would find myself in a position where they simultaneously went off, I would have to make a decision. And at that point, I'm altering my future. At that point, I'm changing my time. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, prime example today, it's very difficult. Like, time is something I don't have a lot to spare right now. You know, so like, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it wasn't for a surprise email from my daughter's teacher and my son falling, busting his lip, I would have probably been here relatively on time. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that's what I'm saying. Just like every moment is altered. You know what I'm saying? And like time is so, like, dude, you so on point with that. Like, you can't play with the time because every second you delay, dude, that could be the difference in you. You know what I'm saying? Dodging a car by this much. Or
missing out on some money.
Right. You took the words out my mouth.
My bad.
Or walking in the casino and catching the machine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like back in the day. I knew this dude. He used to say, "Yo, don't miss out beating your dick." And I thought he meant like, don't miss out on the real thing doing that. But what he was saying was, yo, you could kill your whole day doing that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I said that to say, like, you were so right about time. Like, don't not play with other people's time. Don't play with your time either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit is key.
Mm-hmm. And people have seen me, like, one of our classmates was baffled when I showed them my schedule of just like my week. It was like, what the you got all this written up? Yes.
Better.
And you gotta
have a hell of a mental note.
Yeah, and add to the mental note.
Or a wife. I can't. I'm not even shortchange her like that.
And the mental notes are golden because what happens is if you don't retain that information or don't put it down, like it was because I do X-ray, I do transport. I'm just gonna say transport. I'm not gonna say where.
Okay.
But in my line, I meet people on a consistent basis. I met one person and he said something to me and it stuck with me ever since then. Anytime somebody gives me, like, if I'm supposed to do something, let's say, hey, at 5:00 you're going to do da 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 da. If I don't put it in my calendar then and there, it's gone. I'm not getting it back. I know that. So it's like I literally will stop and be like, hold on, let me put this in real quick. I'm not being rude. And I've even gone as far as I'm Team Evernote. Evernote is my everything. I will note and jot something down in a heartbeat because that's just how I'm programmed. But it's also like I'm doing this whole goal prep. Also, by the way, if y'all listening to the podcast, Instagram.com/Cherie Brooks, I think is her name. I'm going to find a link, but I'm going to share it. She does a event planning or goal planning every Sunday at 9 p.m.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And it is an Insta Live. It is. I've been a part of it since July, and it has helped me tremendously.
She sounds like somebody else should interview, man.
Oh, you talk to her, you would.
I meet fascinating people all the time. So anytime I hear about fascinating people outside of my car, it's like a new adventure at this point.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I am with the show. When I did podcasts, and I never realized it, and I know we all said 1 hour and 30, but we're passing that, but whatever. I don't care. But no, I just know you gotta, like, it's content. Like you don't know what or where somebody's gonna go with something until you really sit and talk to them. Like my roommate, we were talking last night and I told her something. I made a comment and she was like, yeah, that sounds like it's a podcast. I was like, oh, trust me, I'm ready. I will let you be the A mic on that one easily, and I will talk about it. Because we were talking about the
A mic.
A mic. Hey, I love being a B mic on my own show. Because that'll let me just get to sit back and chill.
Right.
But I was picking because it's talking about like what causes or what pushes people to being bitter. And just the fact of anytime, and I'm not me being a guy, it's tough for me to say it, but when I read women's posts of going through X, Y, and Z with people, and it's like, okay, you're looking for all these qualities, but you don't have time to give all these qualities, let alone the guys that you're really trying to attract aren't interested in these posts. But you don't see that because you're just aggressive. I know I'm giving like 8 passive messages right now. But I'm just...
it's kind of hard not to go in once you go.
Because it's just a reality of just, I just have, it's one of those things, oh, I want a guy that can woo and like keep me on my level and elevate me. And I'm like, the guys that you want to elevate you are the guys that can elevate you are not coming around when you post things like this. You're scaring us away.
Yo, the only advice, like, you can't escape what is happening right now.
True.
If you're a man, if you're a single man.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to any man right now is like, yo, you seriously need to find a girl who has a hobby.
Yes.
Because if she is, they all post all the time for the most part.
Yep.
But if she's going to be insistent on being online, like I would much rather the girl I'm dealing with be promoting something or posting something of substance.
Yes.
You know
I
what
agree.
I'm saying?
I totally agree. I have no arguments with that. And the part that's funny of why you say that is most of the ones that I just talked about, because it's a group. We call it the Bitter Bitch Brigade. I talked about that on the podcast. I can't remember the number, but I'm going to reference it in the show.
Bitch Brigade.
It's a real thing.
And we all thought Big Baller Brand was all they triple B out here.
This group. And by the way, that group consists of men and women. It's not just women. There are men who get into their bitter bag too, and it's like, yo, like read what you're posting. I had to have a woosah moment with one of my friends. I was like, you're running a business. Your business page or your personal page should not consist of this much negativity.
Facts.
And she cleaned it, and I was like, now I need to get through the rest of these people. But doing it through social media, you can't. It's not the same.
You can't talk to people, dog. Like
you can talk to people if they know you well enough, and it's like on a personal, like, look, I'm coming to you as a friend.
Right.
They'll get it. But if it's like on a social media, well, why are you coming from my page? No.
I don't know. It's men nationwide right now fighting with their wives, constantly asking them why they have to take selfies every day. You know what I mean? What is that about? What is that? What is this?
What's the end game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and does that make the spouse a narcissist?
That's another podcast.
If she's in love with seeing herself on a scale that
everyone needs to know,
right, that you're pretty today, as if they didn't know it yesterday,
right? Yeah, that's
or the 3 days before.
It might be a separate
the 3 days in a row before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you're trying to get the likes up, and it doesn't matter because it falls into the I don't care bag. Like don't
get me started.
I know
you're gonna get me talking about she an IG model bag.
Oh no, we call it no. It's a name. No, time out. Before you say that, there's actually a term for them, and I forgot what because they have it like listed. It's a group on Instagram, and I'm gonna find it before this will be our closing because a lot of them have it in their bio, and I'm like, you do realize that you're not that type of person, right? Like I know you personally, and no, that's not who you are. It is an actual, because some of them will group themselves as such, and I'm like, that's not you. It's brand ambassador. There you go. Let that marinate, and that'll be for the next show. Because then it's gonna cause you to be, you're gonna be like, see, we should have finished that story.
Oh, word though.
Before we, so we are finished with everything, content, conversation wise. Any social plugs you want to give, links, info, and like I said, you know, I always throw it in. I'm gonna throw it in the show.
Yeah, if you want to find me on IG, you can just look me up at loss_like_y'all. If you want to hear the show, you know, you can find it. You can find it on any
all your major podcast DSPs.
All your major podcast platforms. You know, it's entertaining. Like I said, if nothing else, you'll laugh, you'll joke, and you'll be appalled. So
yeah,
I aim to touch every nerve in your body. Yeah,
the music one that I listened to, that one stuck with me. It's another one that I was getting ready to start listening to that I need to go back and listen to. But yeah, keep doing your show, man. Like I know he's breaking, but it's a good break. So it gives you, when people take breaks, I understand taking breaks. Because
I came off the break this week. So
okay,
yeah, I just put an episode up maybe the day before yesterday.
Okay.
And, that one's about like student loans and, you know, and dealing with that bullshit. So anybody listening, go check that out. You get some insightful information and you may chuckle a little bit.
No doubt.
I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show though, brother.
Yeah, man. You just and as I tell everyone else, this is not the last show. Don't sit there and think, okay, I did a show, I ain't coming back. If you got a moment and it's like, hey, I'm ready to pull up. Like I told you, it's being funny. If it's like, yo, I need to come on your platform and talk about something.
Yeah, for sure.
I like being the relaxed Mike because I get to podcasting and we talked about this before. Podcasting helps you learn how to listen.
It does. And
it scares you because you're like, I actually understand what they said. Or you find yourself in the space of, this person did not hear a damn word they said. Right. And let me explain to you. Right. And that's what ends up happening. But I'm going to wrap up. One, like I said before, thanks.
Hold on.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Hold on. What was that we was learning in class this week? Discriminative listening versus comprehension listening?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And there you have 99% of every argument that ever takes place because somebody's listening one way versus the other.
Because one person is there to argue,
right,
and one person just wants to be understood,
right,
and it never hits both points. And that's where I've always added it as three people being involved in the conversation. That is the one party, the other party, and the interpreter. That's a whole nother podcast. And
if I can end it with a quote,
go for it.
By my wife. I'll never understand you.
If I get kicked out the library, I'm sorry. But I'll let it be what it is. Hopefully nobody. But it's a fun moment.
All right, y'all.
Hopefully they'll understand.
Think they can hear us.
They probably can't. I don't think she may. They move. They all right.
Sorry, guys.
That might, if y'all had on headphones, hopefully y'all turned down by that point. Pat signing out. BT signing out. Yeah. They ain't gonna come back here. They ain't gonna bother me. But that's it. BT signing out. Past podcast. Sure. Everything the past BT. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat once in a while, and possibly resurrected Twitch. We'll see. But on that note, y'all take it easy. In the past signing out.
You're a cool ass dude, bro.
I try, man.
I appreciate you.
No doubt, man. Y'all take it easy.
Another episode is in the books. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. As I always share, if you'd like to get into podcasting, you can check out Spreaker.com. And if you're looking to invest in a microphone or if you're looking to genuinely start with recording, I use the Blue Yeti microphone, but you may prefer to do the Samson Meteor. Just know that if it's your craft and it's something that you're meant to do it and do it well. That's my main thing to tell people about 2019. Do it and be reliable. Y'all take it easy.